talking about fasteners in regards to facilities maintenance. Fasteners is a huge topic. Um, there are many different type of fasteners in the world. I'm not going to cover them all in this video. I'm trying to keep this video contained to the common fasteners you're going to see in facilities maintenance, building maintenance, handyman work, etc. So to get started, let's talk about drywall anchors. There's different types of drywall anchors. Again, I'm not showing every type here. Again, these are the common ones you'll see in facilities maintenance. On the left side, those plastic anchors, there's different variations of them. Those are generally going to be for your lightweight anchoring of, let's say you want to hang a picture frame on a wall or a clock or a bulletin board. Those might work well for, again, for lighter, smaller jobs. In the middle, these are a plastic anchor that does not require a hole, a pre-drilled hole. These ones in the middle, these easy out anchors, they're made of plastic, sometimes they're made of metal, and you push it into the drywall and then you start screwing it in with a screwdriver until it's flush with the surface of the drywall. Then you drive your screw into the anchor, however deep you need it to be, and hang your object on that screw. So those can handle more weight than those plastic anchors on the left of the screen. You have your toggle anchors, sometimes called butterfly anchors. Those can handle a lot more weight. Basically, you drill a hole large enough for the toggle to fit through, and you thread the toggle onto the screw, push the assembly through your hole, pull back on it, and then tighten down that screw. And say you're hanging a bracket or something on the wall. That has a lot more holding power than the other type of anchors. On the bottom of your screen there, you see how yet another type of anchor works, where as you drive the screw in, it opens up on the back side of the drywall to anchor or grab against the drywall. Ideally, you always want to try to find a stud, and there are times where you have to find a stud. You do not have a choice. For example, if you're hanging a TV or kitchen cabinets, let's say, those need to be anchored into the actual studs. And when you buy these in Lowe's or Home Depot, read the package, because the package will tell you what its weight capacity is for these anchors. Then we get into to wood fasteners. Drywall screws are good for just that, drywall. I would not recommend trying to use drywall screws for framing wood members. If you're going to build a box or a crate, don't use drywall screws. They're not strong enough. They'll snap off. Just use those for drywall. On the far right side, you see deck screws. Those are designed for more structural wood assemblies. Like if you're building a wooden crate, a wooden box, a wooden bench, a wooden deck. This particular type requires no pre-drilling. They drill as you drive them in. These ones are recommended for pre-treated lumber, so they're coated, designed for exterior use where they might be exposed to moisture. And then in the center you have lag bolts. Again, all these fasteners come in different lengths, different diameters, different head types. Drywall screws are obviously countersunk heads. On the far right, these particular deck screws are countersunk because you obviously would not want them sticking up or people could trip on the heads. But the lag bolts in the center, those are for really heavy-duty anchoring of wood structures. So you're framing something, you'd want to use lag bolts for that, like say a children's wooden playground set. Again, structural members underneath the deck, where you're driving those into 4x4s, 2x4s, 2x6s, heavy-duty lumber. You want those big heavy-duty lag screws. And these are different types of sheet metal screws. So say you're attaching metal to metal or something wood to metal. These are tech screws, as they're often called. These are self-drilling, as you can see. So they're kind of drill their own hole into the sheet metal as you drive them in. They have a hex head on them. So yeah, you drill and then it taps and fastens all in one go. And they come in different lengths, different diameters. And then you also on the left side have the pan head type. Has a larger profile head, and again, those are Phillips head, not the hex head. Then we get into nails. Again, there's many different type of nails in the world. Some of the common ones you might see in facilities, or if you're a handyman, or if you've got to repair a roof or install a roof or frame a wall or frame a shed or frame a house. You got framing nails in the center, roofing nails, electrogalvanized on the far right. And on the far left of the picture are finishing nails. And these all come in different lengths and diameters. So finishing nails, let's say you're installing a new door or window, and you need to install the trim around the door. Finishing nails would work for that. Or baseboard. And then of course you have brads and staples. This here is a standard manual staple gun. You load the staples in. Staples come in different sizes as well. They also have automatic staple guns, electric, pneumatic. And then we get into concrete anchors. Again, there's many different type of concrete anchors. Sticking with some of the common ones you'll find and use in facilities maintenance, building maintenance. Redhead wedge anchors on the top left. Then drive anchors. So the way these concrete anchors work is you drill your hole in the concrete with a hammer drill, and the wedge anchors, the sleeve anchors, the drop-in anchors, you have to tap those into the hole with a hammer. And the sleeve anchors and the redhead wedge anchors, you would then take your wrench and tighten that nut down, and that wedge expands in the hole, or the sleeve expands in the hole, and that's what holds the anchor in place. The drive anchor, it kind of looks like a rivet, and say you're attaching something to a concrete wall or concrete floor. You drill your hole, you place your bracket or your component that you want to anchor down in place, and that drive anchor slides into the hole all the way down to where the head seats flush, and then you take your hammer and you tap that pin or that nail or that rivet on top all the way down, and that holds it in place. Then you have tap cons. Again, you pre-drill your hole in the concrete. With tap cons, you don't hammer them in. You drive them in, and if you use your drill, you don't want to use it on the hammer setting. If you have a hammer setting on your drill, do not use that. With the tap cons, you just drive it in on the normal torque, normal setting on your drill, and don't over torque these. They are easy to over torque, and you'll strip them out, and then your hole is useless at that point. Again, your drop-in anchors, you would actually use a bolt. You can see they're threaded. So as you thread the bolt into that drop-in anchor, it's going to expand and hold itself in the hole. On the bottom left-hand corner, these triple grip anchors are multi-use. You see in the circled area that they can be used for cinder block, concrete, drywall, and they expand. So there again, you would pre-drill your hole, drive them in. As you drive your screw in, they're going to expand inside the hole. So those are sort of a nice universal multi-use anchor. And they do have a weight capacity. You can see those particular triple grip anchors have a 46-pound weight capacity. So here again, just a graphic showing you how to install a concrete anchor. You pre-drill your hole with a hammer drill, blow out the hole as necessary, and then you would literally hammer the anchor in if it's a sleeve anchor or a wedge anchor. And then once it's all the way seated, you then take your wrench or your screwdriver, depending on what kind of head your anchor has, and then tighten it down. So another anchoring product you can use, not so much a fastener, but it works in conjunction with fasteners, is epoxy products like this, where they're usually two parts that mix together, and you fill your hole in the concrete with this, and then put your rebar or your concrete anchor in. And once that cures all the way and tightens down, it's a good strong bond, and the anchor's not going anywhere. I mean, it's a nice strong bond. So just as another option for you. Now we get into different type of washers. Again, we're not going to cover every single type of washer in the world, but common washers you'll see in facilities maintenance: flat washers, medium split lock washers, Fender washers. Fender washers are great in applications where you need to cover a large hole, or where you want the pressure of that washer to be evenly distributed over a larger area. You got internal tooth lock washers, external tooth lock washers. So as you tighten these down, they'll kind of grip and dig into the material that they are pressing against. Then you got countersunk and flange type finishing washers. So those you can use in conjunction, for example, with countersink screws to give it a nice clean finished look. And they come in all different sizes as well. Then we get into different nut types. So again, common in facilities maintenance, when you're repairing equipment, working on equipment, building something, bolting something together, you're going to see hex nuts and bolts. You're going to see lock nuts. Some are jam type. Some have a nylon insert. You'll see wing nuts, cap and acorn nuts. Those are more for, a more finished, clean look where you don't want to see any exposed threads of the bolt sticking through. Flange nuts have a built-in washer. And then T-nuts, the way those work is you would hammer that in, you would drill a hole in wood, and then you would hammer that T-nut in, and then thread your screw in from the opposite side of that hole you drilled, and that's one way to, fasten something. Again, square nuts, coupling nuts, slotted nuts. Slotted nuts are used in conjunction with the cotter pin on a drilled shank of a bolt to prevent loosening. And then castle nuts are a similar idea. And then I also wanted to mention the different type of grades of nuts and bolts and their strengths. So as you see, grade 8 is a stronger bolt than a grade 5 or grade 4. And then you go up to grade 10, the tensile strength increases as you go up in grade. And if you look for these markings on the bolt head, that kind of gives you a clue as to what type of grade bolt it is, both metric and standard. Rivets, another type of fastener. These work great. I've used one of these rivet guns for years. Again, you can get different length and diameter rivets. These are pop rivets. So you would pre-drill your hole, install the rivet in the hole until the bottom of the head seats against the surface, and then squeeze the trigger, squeeze the handle, and it'll pull up and expand, and then that remaining protruding pin or nail will snap off. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment for future video topics you'd like me to cover.